Welcome back. This is topic 4 and it is about challenges for rural livelihoods and opportunities. So, by the end of this topic, you should be able to explain different challenges for rural livelihoods and discuss the implications of these challenges for livelihood opportunities. There are several challenges that affect rural livelihoods. Yeah, think about Malawi, any region, district, or even in your own locality. You can see that there are several changes affecting the livelihood of people. And some of these challenges here we are talking of climate change, biofuel, population, migration as related to climate change, urbanization, and the law of agriculture information. So here you need to think of how these affect production in the rural livelihoods. Now, let's start by looking at population growth. Population growth is the change in population over time. It can be caused by excess of births over deaths as well as migration. In terms of migration, it is when the amount of immigration exceeds the amount of immigration. For example, if the number of people moving out of Malawi to other countries, let's take Tanzania for example, is less than the number of people coming into Malawi to settle. This can therefore increase the population of Malawi as a country. Human migration is the movement of people from one place to another, sometimes over long distances or in large groups for the purpose of taking up permanent or semi-permanent residence. This is done either by pressing factors within a population or appeals outside the population or increased population growth. So both population growth and migration can affect the quality of the natural environment in different ways and the likelihood of conflict. For this is obvious where there is a large number of people, the likelihood of conflict is also big. Here, you can also think of how population growth and migration becomes a challenge to rural livelihoods. The graph in your notes shows trends for population growth for the world from 1950 to 2050. Mind you, this is not for Malawi. So you can see that from 1950, the population continues to grow up to 2050. So here you can also think of problems for livelihood that may arise as a result of population growth. So population growth has brought in several challenges such as soil degradation, lack of access to land, difficult to access irrigation water, difficult in increasing education and training, increased political instability and conflict. We are also talking of environmental problems, yeah, increased access gap between the rich and the poor. So as you are looking at these challenges brought by population growth, think of what each of them affect the livelihood of the people in your respective areas. The search for a better and more secure livelihood drives main migratory movements and is most common where survival is at stake. There are several types of migration. The first one is internal migration. Internal migration means moving to a new home within a state, country, or continent. Another type of migration is external migration. This means moving to a new home in a different state, country, or continent. For example, moving out of Malawi to South Africa. We have also immigration and emigration. Population transfer, also known as forced migration, is when a government forces a large group of people out of a region, usually based on ethnicity or religion. We have also impelled migration, whereby individuals are not forced out of their country, but they leave because of unfavorable situations such as warfare, political problems, or religious persecution. In addition to that, there is step migration. This is a series of shorter, less extreme migrations from a person's place of origin to a final destination, such as moving from a farm to a village to town and then to a city. We also have chain migration, and this refers to series of migrations within a family or defined group of people. It begins with just one family member. Then this family member sends money to bring other family members to a new location. Another type of migration is return migration, also known as secular migration. This is the voluntary movement of immigrants back to their place of origin. And lastly, we have seasonal migration, which is the process of moving for a period of time in response to labor or climate. For example, people may move to Lilongwe to work in tobacco farms during tobacco production season. So, with reference to this course, what would be the possible causes of migration? Here, the explanation should be based on the types of migration discussed. Migration may be due to security dimensions like natural disasters, conflicts, threats to individual safety, poor political prospects, and economic dimensions such as poor economic situation in the country as well as poor situation of national markets. More specifically, the factors causing migration can be grouped into push and pull factors. Push factors are reasons for emigrating because of a difficulty. This means that they are why people move out of their country of origin. This may be because of other problems in their country of origin. A good example can be why people are leaving Malawi to South Africa. Here, there must be something bad in Malawi. For example, maybe due to food shortages, inadequate jobs, political fear, poor medical care, loss of wealth, natural disasters, poor housing, slavery, as well as poor chances of finding courtship. Talking of the pull factors, we are talking of reasons for immigrating because of something desirable. For example, the movement of people from different countries to South Africa means that there is something good in South Africa, which is pulling people. So here we are talking of better food supply, nice jobs, nicer climate. We are talking of enjoyment, good education, security, freedom, family links, as well as better chances of finding courtship. So, the challenges resulting from migration affect population patterns and characteristics, alter social and cultural patterns and processes. Let's take, for example, the movement of, what can I say, Anankungu, yes, as one of the cultural promoter in the community can affect these processes to some extent. Migration also diminishes economies. For example, brain, skills, and labor drains. Insufficient local labor supply affects the physical environment. There is a collapse of traditional farming systems as well as leaves female-headed households in an even more vulnerable position. Yeah. For example, if the one who has moved out is the man who was providing for the family and does not support the family anymore. Another challenge affecting livelihood opportunities is urbanization. This is a shift from a rural to urban society. For example, shifting from Nampod village of Blantyre rural to Mbayani. Urbanization also involves an increase in the number of people in urban areas during a particular year. It is the outcome of social, economic, and political developments that have happened. Statistics show that more than half of the world people live in urban areas crowded to into 3% of the earth land. So, what are the major causes of urbanization? Urbanization is caused by natural population increase fueled by improved medical care, better sanitation, improved food supplies, reduced death rates, and migration, whereby people move from rural areas to cities in search of employment, food, shelter, and education. There are several challenges resulting from urbanization, and these include unemployment, food security, poor health. We are talking of poor sanitation, diseases, yeah, environmental degradation, poor shelter, as well as weak urban governance. Lack of reliable and comprehensive information is considered one of the major challenges to agricultural development. Now, I'm talking of agricultural information as a challenge to rural livelihood. Agricultural information systems are facing several challenges, which are also affecting other information and knowledge systems. The challenges are lack of coordination in the management and provision of information. Nowadays, you can find different confusing articles explaining one thing. Let's take, for example, the treatment for amyl, meaning to say there is a contradiction in agriculture information. Look at the issues of soil and water conservation. For example, the issue of peat planting. The government and some non-governmental organizations are implementing it differently, and the farmer usually get confused. So, harmonization of agricultural information is very important. There is also costly duplication of information materials and services. There is an absence of effective national agricultural information management policy. Information providers give agricultural information to wrong farmers. Mostly too much information is in libraries instead of the information to trickle down to the farmers. There is also ineffective capacity building programs and inadequate training on technologies related to information. Talk of the issues of illiteracy as well as shortage of funds to purchase modern equipment for information management and dissemination. As a way forward, there is a need to formalize current efforts towards collaboration through drafting and signing of memorandum of understanding among institutions, develop appropriate information management strategies and policies that support investment in information, communication, and technology tools, as well as incorporate local knowledge in modern technology. Another challenge is climate change and shift to biofuels. I think climate change is not new to you. So, the challenges due to climate change are widespread poverty, recurrent droughts and floods, reduction in people's ability to feed themselves, yeah, threatening people's health and reducing livelihood opportunities and economic growth prospects. Biofuels refer to any fuel made from living organisms or the waste they produce. Crops being used currently include corn, soya, and sugarcane. Here you can also think of other crops. There is a high demand for biofuel, so you can also think of the challenges, how these affect the livelihood of people. So the challenges associated with biofuels are large-scale displacement of communities, small-scale farmers, pastoralists, and other communities may lose land and forced to grow these crops instead of food crops. Agrochemicals may poison people, soil, and water. Industrial agrofuels worsen soil erosion and desertification as well as freshwater depletion, destroying most livelihood. Thank you for listening.